I love this game, but I'm not really feeling it right now. Let me see about something else. No, I'm not really feeling a military shooter right now either. And I don't feel like having my back blown out the whole time. And I'm definitely not desperate. I need to find a new game to play. Well, not new, but new to me, I guess. Now, Shadow of the Colossus is one of those games that I feel like is very divisive. You either love it or you hate it. Now, I've never played it, so I'd like to play it here and see what I think about it. I'm Craft Sauce, and these are my craft thoughts, where I play a game and I let you know what I think about it. I give you a review of sorts. And remember, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do, really. Shadow of the Colossus starts out with us, the Wanderer, our horse Agro, and a woman whose name we never know, traveling to the edge of the earth, where they say a mystic being can help bring back our sacrificed lover, maybe? We do eventually find our way where we're going, but we'll soon find out there's a being beyond our control who's willing to help.
Dormi for Alula Ostu Hailua Wuku Aikua Ujes Yazu Tsudoko was Nordekyo Wutira.
I will answer soon. I will be your item. Dormi cute.
Is Kumku. It is all of you Iveriko. It's not all amusement. Alu Tiklik, if the least to is.
我从此一直往游览，有那颗 always is I'm too cool. You echoes you, and we no cool. You are the no, you do. Oh, you could.
Uranora.
Reason could come around you. You are a good.
Oh, you. I'll bet.
I was guilty girl. No certain kiss, no cuddle. On those alarms, I worry considered. Error was no source, a well, a do. Error control, no.
You do. You bet, Sanada.
Cool. I won't do. Was no source. Oh, you know, you and Bill cry outside. Was you and Bill, or Icon, Zula, Mukila Jura. No source, you are your hands. You and the was no widow, you will yellow.
So now we know what we must do. We use the Sword of Light to find the Colossi, and we eventually make our way to them to vanquish them. Now I don't know if it's just me, but if a shadowy figure with an evil laugh told me to go do something, I might consider it a bad omen. But nonetheless, I want to save my lover's soul, so I guess I'm going to do it. One thing I'll say about the land that the Shadow of the Colossus has built is that it's very lonely. It's beautiful, but it's lonely. There's all these wide open scapes with nothing around. No other people, no villages. It's almost opposite of what you expect from an adventure game like this. And not that I would classify this as an adventure game. but it's very different. I wouldn't go into it expecting nonstop action. I would go into it expecting more of a puzzle action thriller, more so. Or puzzle action mystery, maybe. But let's be honest, most people play this game for the Colossi. Each Colossus is different, but the idea is very much similar. You find a way onto the Colossus, and then you find a way onto its weak spot to take it down. One thing I will say is when I started this, I expected an experience like Dark Souls, because rolling and such, it is definitely not like Dark Souls. The fights with the Colossi are more akin to puzzles and stamina management games than anything else. You find a spot to take them down, and then you use your stamina, which is that yellow circle, to continue to climb up the Colossi until you find its actual weak spot. The weak spot pretty much always looks the same. We continue damaging the weak spot until we eventually take down the beast. But it's a very somber thing when we actually do it. You'll realize that when we take down a beast, we get this somber music. We get the collapse of the beast to the earth. And we just get this sense of, like, why did we do this? After the beast goes down, what we see happen is all this shadowy goo drains out of it, and what it eventually does is enter our body. After this happens, we are transported back to the temple that we start in, and we get a mini explanation for our next foe. Then we do the same thing over again. We use our sword to find where the Colossus is. We make our way to the Colossus, and we do battle with the Colossus. A really nice feature is that all the Colossuses are different. They all have different things that make them unique. Like this one that we're coming up to, he's more so like a knight. The first one we fought was just a giant with a club. There's also horses, bulls, electric eels. You get to see a wide variety of these enemies as we go through the game. But it is interesting to think about that there are only a total of 16 of these enemies in the whole game. The whole game is us riding to our next destination, slaying the Colossus, and then breaking down these pillars to ensure that we complete our goal. One thing I'll say is I'm normally not a fan of puzzle boss fights, but the grand scale that you get with the boss fights in Shadow of the Colossus are just so cool. Like this one is a giant sea pterodactyl stone monster, and we have to climb aboard its wings and hold on to it while we fight the elements of rain and wind just to do damage to this thing. Then when we do take it down, we get a nice cutscene of us falling to the water and then the beast falling behind us. And you kind of get this grand scale of like just how big these creatures are. Some of these creatures too, they just have really, really cool designs. Even like I said, normally I'm not much of a puzzle boss fight kind of guy, but it's really cool. You have the electric eel, and you have this guy who shoots freaking hyper beams, like an armored armadillo kind of thing. It's absolutely wild that we can have a game with enemy scale. But it does make me think, is this game really worth it for this lady? I suppose we'll continue on. We continue on to fight these Colossi. This is one of the smaller ones, but still it has a different way that we beat it. Back, ye beast! And eventually we back him off the cliff, revealing his weak spot. And again, we have this one in the water, who you kind of steer using his teeth. But at this point in the game, you get a short little cutscene. These people from the village which you stole the Sword of Light from end up coming to where you're located. And you start to get the sense that there's more going on here than just fighting the Colossi, than just getting your goal accomplished. But as they ride closer to us, we kind of just continue our goal. We continue to fight the Colossi. We find the weak spots. We go over and over and over and over and over and over again until we eventually slay these beasts. And again, we get this very somber death scene of these creatures. The one that we're coming to right here is the 15th Colossus. He's, if I had to relate him to anything, I'd say this man just looks like King Kong. But we eventually beat the 15th Colossus, and now it's time for us to continue on. Once you've beaten 15, you use your Sword of Light to open the door to the last Colossus. And you and your horse continue on. You continue the fight. You and your companion, that's all you've got. And this part is where we lose the only companion we've had in this game. It makes you more determined to go get the last Colossus and finally end this. So you scale the mountain to see the last Colossus. And the idea is basically the same. We're going to do battle the same way we've done with every other Colossus. We are going to scale the Colossus, and we are going to end it to try to accomplish our goal. Eventually, after fighting this Colossus, you find a way. You basically figure out that each one of these blue spots that you attack is going to lead you up to the next spot till you eventually make its way to its head. And finally, you'll keep climbing. You'll fall. I guarantee you'll fall. I fell about 35 times at this part. But eventually, you'll keep climbing till you can get to the boss's final weak spot and hopefully put an end to it. At this point, what happens is the last Colossus falls, and we kind of get a real-time cutscene of what's going on in the temple. The last of the Colossuses, you end him, and you just see it kind of collapse and fall over. It's kind of just this sad scene that all of them have shared. And not to say too much, but basically we see the events that are unfolding in the temple where the lady is. And we've now resurrected Dorman. All those 16 parts of the Colossi were each a part of Dorman, basically separating his power. And now they've basically brought him back to life. And I'm assuming he's a great danger to the land. We continue to watch as this great colossal beast destroys the temple and chases out the people that were pursuing our hero. With no other choice, the priest and the soldiers leave the temple, and what they decide to do is seal it off. So they throw the Sword of Light into this pond, and you'll see that the temple itself starts to collapse. It starts to seal off its own way to return to this land. That way no one can ever come back. Dorman begins to be sucked into this portal, leaving the lover, the woman, leaving the woman behind. And during this portion, there's not really anything you can do. Basically, you keep getting sucked into this portal that eventually seals off the land. And the game ends with us seeing that the temple is going to be sealed off from everybody else. You'll even see here that they say, well, let me just let you watch and see what they say. You'll kind of get a feel for how this goes. And that's it. That's basically the journey through Shadow of the Colossus. If I was going to say anything, if I was going to give the game a rating, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. The music is great. The story building is great. The bosses are great. The only thing is, it's just normally not my type of game. I usually like a little more action. I'd like to thank anybody who watched the video, and if you like, maybe it'll give me inspiration to make more videos like this.